guys, thank you for joining us today for our second Wilmington Weddings podcast. We are here with two of my favorite people, well, three if you include Jess. We have Laura, co-owner of the Atrium, and Monika with Making Memories Events. Two wonderful ladies, and they have tons of resources and information that they're going to share with us, so let's dive right in.
Yeah.
I would love to pick your guys' brains since you do some coordinating at Atrium, and you obviously do coordinating and planning as an event planner. We'll start with you, Monika. What is the difference between a planner and a coordinator?
So thank you for having me here. This was so fun. The differences between a coordinator and a planner would be if I'm coming in to coordinate your wedding, I'm taking everything that you've done and handling the weekend. You've done all the planning. You've negotiated your contracts. You've picked your vendors. You've put all the pieces of the puzzle on the table. I'm going to take the pieces, put them together to make the completed picture. If I'm planning, I'm literally planning. I'm listening to your wants when it comes to photography styles, to location, your budget, and then I'm going to orchestrate the day. I'm going to pick vendors that go within your budget, that fit your style and what you want your end to be. So I'm going to start from the beginning and plan everything.
Rentals and
everything.
Decor,
your rentals, your decor,
flowers.
timeline, mood board, going to the rental company, matching fabrics with chargers and your flatware, talking to the caterer,
There's so
making
much that
sure.
goes into it.
Yes,
Wow.
it literally is an entire production. So
Now
that's the difference between planning and coordinating.
Now,
If
do
you're
they-
coordinating, you're coming in at the end and taking the pieces and making it come
Just
together.
managing
Yes.
the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think it's important also to distinguish now, because like Monika and I were talking about earlier, we've been in the business a long time, and originally it was called day of coordinating, which is so deceiving because
Yes.
literally no one could step in
No.
on the day of
No.
and figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
So day of coordinating has now turned into what we call either event management or month of coordinating. So when when clients are looking, they're going to look for a coordinator. Those are also terms that they're going to look for. Now, that person, like Monique said, is going to step in usually 30 days before. So what I do with my clients is they have access to me the whole, leading the whole planning process. They've got email access, they can call me. Not excessively, but they can utilize me, throughout the planning process. I give them vendor recommendations, help them with, some rental choices here and there. However, we don't physically meet until 30 days before. So 30 days before the wedding, we're going to meet, we're going to do a full layout of the venue. I'm going to check all the rentals, and just make sure I've got all the pieces that they have planned ahead of time.
So do you do planning at the Atrium or just the month of
I
coordinating?
just do month of coordinating because I'm so busy with managing the venue throughout the rest of the year that it's really only feasible for me to take 2 weddings a month, just because I still love the client interaction and I love seeing the day from start to finish.
I think that's really key too. I think a lot of people, when they get into this industry, they're thinking of how can I get more, and the more quantity you have, the lower quality you're able to serve your clients.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I see photographers who are like, I shot 60 weddings this year. I'm like, wow. Do you even know anything about your clients? So I think
You have a life outside of weddings.
So I think having kind of caps on that kind of stuff it's healthy for you, but it's also so beneficial to the client.
Right. And I do understand planners that take multiple weddings a weekend. However, you could sometimes, just depending on the size and the moving pieces that go into the wedding, that can also suffer, you drop in the ball one place or the other, when you're taking multiple.
Events.
Yes. Oh, that happens all the time. Who is the client again? Wait, is that this person? Is that this person?
Gosh,
Yeah.
that's so funny.
So can we talk about, we talked about planner versus coordinator. Can we talk about the difference between venue coordinator and your month of event coordinator?
Absolutely. So huge difference. Venue coordinator is going to be the person that is going to be on site in charge of the venue for your wedding. Now they handle, unlocking the doors, turning the lights on, just, getting things ready in the morning. They set up all of the venue's rentals. So if your venue has tables, chairs, all of that, They set up all of that. And then throughout the whole wedding day, they are there to restock toilet paper in the bathrooms, check, clean up trash as they go. They are there for the venue, strictly being paid by the venue.
So they're more staff of the venue.
They're venue staff.
They're not managing the timeline then.
They are absolutely not. No, that is your day of / month of coordinator who does
Because
that.
I feel like a lot of people get into it with they pick their venue and they're like, oh, it comes with a venue coordinator, and they get all excited that piece of the puzzle is
Taken care
complete, thinking it's the actual event coordinator, your month planner. Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And I think this is so important too, because for most people, it's their first wedding. Like most
Right.
of our brides are,
They don't know
first
what they're
wedding.
doing.
And who's helping them is usually their mom, who was married in the 90s, maybe. And things have changed. I mean, Monika, how much have weddings changed just in the last 20 years?
Tremendously. Think about it. A lot of weddings were done in a house of worship, church, some type of setting, and dining hall.
Yeah.
Now it's become a weekend production. You've got rehearsal, and then one of the trends is like a welcome party after, which is just for everybody to meet and know that get to know people. And then you've got the day of. And so day of, wedding day, you've got people, you got hair and makeup, you've got before pictures, you've got content creators on site, you've got videography and photography. Yes,
Content
all
creation's
of
a
those
whole new thing.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So is that with social, what do you think has driven the change? Is it social media?
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
People want
Everybody's
images,
right now.
people want that
Yes.
instant
Everything is right now.
access.
Yes.
They want to be able to
Yes.
have videos they can literally
Yes.
upload in real time, so the people that are not there can see
Yes.
their
You're
wedding
saying with the
day.
content creators.
Content,
Yeah.
yes.
Because there are
So
people
it's-
even live streaming their weddings now.
Isn't that wild?
I saw
Yes.
that in COVID. I have not seen that much anymore. But
I haven't had
yeah.
someone to do it since COVID.
Okay,
But I was
yeah.
talking with a content creator, and that's one of the things that she offers is live streaming.
Wow. Okay.
Like she manages
Yeah.
that part.
Well, that is really nice for people that are, out of the country,
Yep.
Yeah,
or
and
older
grandparents.
grandparents that can't make it. Yeah, I think it is wonderful. It can get a little overboard with the content
Yes.
creation, but I do love it.
Yes.
That is not anything. I mean, I think it's a great new trend, but just again another moving part
It's a new
of the wedding
yes.
day. Yeah, it's so
and
new
you've
for
got
us.
to be able to talk to that content creator just like any of the other vendors and help them to understand the framework of the day.
Yes, and photographers. It is so important for photographers, videographers, and the content
Yes,
creators
everybody's
to all be
got-
on the
yes.
same page.
So I have a
Yes.
really funny story, not to jump off topic, but it actually involves the Atrium. This is such a funny experience. I was doing video at the time. I don't do video anymore, but at the time I was doing video, and it was this beautiful couple, and they had a photographer that was a friend of theirs from LA who was a fashion photographer, and you might remember this.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
So this guy was a fashion photographer and amazing stellar photos. I mean, just beautiful photos. I mean, he worked with famous people in
Oh, yeah.
Hollywood.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
He was like
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
stars,
Really
but
good.
he didn't do weddings. So he gets to the wedding, and we're talking about the ceremony, and I'm like, well, hey, I'm with video, and the Atrium has, the way that the pews are lined up. You can't walk along the side where the fountains are. Yeah, and so
On either side, one is landscape side
yeah,
and one is the
so
fountain.
I was like, hey, I've got one camera here, I've got the other camera there, I've got my second. So
It's a dance that you have
it's
to
a
do.
dance you
Yes,
have
it
to
is.
do. I'm going to stay out of your way. I tell you, I kid you not, Monika. I have video and I'll show it to you. But this photographer treated this wedding like it was a fashion photography shoot and was literally behind the couple and the shooting over the officiant's back. I mean, he was taking photos of the rings this close. It was.
He was in there, huh?
It was wild.
Oh yeah,
And I think
real up close and personal.
it was I think that everyone was looking around like what's happening, but again, fashion photographer, that this is his first wedding, so but I didn't think I needed to communicate that with him, but it's because I was like, oh, this guy's a bigwig photographer, but it is fun. You kind of do as a photographer working with other people that are going to be maybe in your frame, having a really clear cut plan.
Well, and I think
is
that's
crucial.
where it comes in with preferred vendors and
Yes.
acquired
Just
vendors.
gonna say that.
Yes.
As somebody who I've had clients say, well, my so and so, my Aunt Sue has planned many events at her garden club. She can do it. I'm like, okay, garden club events,
Or
or
she
even
manages the church.
she manages the church. Vendors that take care of huge corporate events. It is a whole different ballgame
It
with
is.
the wedding.
Absolutely
And you are
different.
dealing with, not only are you dealing with all of the vendors and the moving pieces, you are dealing with the emotions.
Yes.
And we know there is a lot of emotions that come
And we
along
don't
with
get
that
to do
day.
a do-over. Like
Right.
if we
That's
miss
it.
that
One
moment,
and done. Yeah. Yep.
It's gone.
It's gone.
And that's
We
one of the-
can't get
yeah.
that back.
Right.
That's
right.
one of the things I love about Monika, which I don't know if you guys have had a chance to work with each other, but she is so good about timeline. I mean, she is on top. You're on top of the details, and I think that a lot of people that maybe work in other settings that aren't weddings, they'll make a timeline, and it's. I mean, you do it down to the minute, and you kind of have to with weddings because every minute matters.
Yes. Because you've got to stay on track. And granted, in that timeline, we always build a buffer in because things happen. But you got to think about that. And that is one thing that when I'm talking to potential clients that I say to them is that you want to enjoy your day. Your
'cause you work
mom.
so hard for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
You
some
pay
of
a lot
these
of money for
brides, I'm with them 12, 14 months. Just depending on, especially if it's full service, full planning. But your mother, the groom's mother, let those people enjoy.
Yes, absolutely. And I think
Leave
that's
it to the professionals
that
to
is
get
why
this
we have
done.
preferred vendor lists
Yes.
now. I mean, people
Let's take it
Yes.
back to that. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think people understand, one, the difference, and two, really why they have a required vendor list too.
honestly, we do it for the clients.
Yes.
We do it so that the event runs so seamlessly. These people are professionals. They've been in the industry for a long time. They
Yes.
know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
They do it
They know
weekend
your
in and
venue.
weekend out.
Yes.
They know our venue
Yes.
specifically or whatever venues list they're on. It is for the client. And people, sometimes I get a little pushback about it and people say, well, I don't need that. And then I explain to them, do you ever go to a wedding and it looks like complete chaos and nobody knows what they're doing? That's because they didn't have a coordinator
Right,
or
exactly.
a planner. If you go to a wedding and it runs seamlessly, they have somebody behind the scenes
team.
running
Yes,
the
a
show.
whole
They know
team.
what they're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and that's the big difference, I think, between like preferred vendors
Yes.
and required vendors. Like you guys are my preferred vendors.
Yes.
Like I even give
Yes.
discounts to people
Yes.
that are getting married with
Yes.
Monika or
Yes.
are
Right.
getting married at the Atrium because I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a great team.
Yes.
This is gonna be an easy day. It's gonna be
Yes.
a great day.
Yes.
Everything's gonna run smoothly. And I think it goes the same now with a venue. I mean, obviously, as a planner, you have preferred vendors. You probably don't have required vendors as a planner. As a venue, what is the difference between a preferred vendor and a required vendor, and what are some of your required vendors?
So we call it our preferred vendor list. However, it is required, and there's only two categories on there. There is either a planner / coordinator. We only require a coordinator. They do not have to do full planning. They don't have to have a planner because sometimes, it's not in the budget for them, and they kind of know what they want. It's either small, and then we have caterers, and catering
That's required.
That is required. Yep. And we do, we have a bunch to choose from, all different price points, different, they can deal with all kinds of different dietary restrictions, limitations, but those two are required because it has to be somebody that provides this service, like I said, weekend in and weekend out.
Yeah.
Now, then we have another recommended vendor
Okay.
list where it's like, these are people that have worked in the space before that we love, that are great to work with, that, we know without a doubt you will have an amazing event.
Yes.
If you
Yeah.
hire this DJ, you're going to have a hell of a
Yes.
party.
Yes.
If you hire this photographer, you're going to absolutely love your
Yes.
photos.
Yeah.
So there is a list that we provide to clients, and usually we don't provide that in the beginning because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
They haven't picked anything yet. So with the venue, we make it very clear that you have to pick somebody from the list for coordinator and for caterer.
Now, if someone is like, "Hey, my dad owns this restaurant," and do you ever accommodate
Yes.
little things? But you probably have to have a meeting then.
Absolutely,
With
yes.
and
We
have
have to make
vet 'em.
sure, they have their T's crossed, their
Yeah.
I's dotted. I mean, they have to, because with catering, you have to be fully permitted. You have to have the staff that can accommodate all of your guests. They have to do setup, cleanup. Obviously, they have to have, their food service has to be on point. So yes, occasionally we do allow people off the preferred vendor list, but I definitely have to meet with them and
But-
figure out.
I'm sorry.
That's
Not to
okay.
cut you off.
Yeah.
But what they can't do is say, oh, well, Aunt Sally knows how to do.
Oh yeah, no.
Nope, no.
Aunt Sally
she
can bring
do
the
your
cake.
cake. That's right.
She can do your cake. She
Yes.
can do your cake.
Yes.
We'll let your Aunt Sally do your cake.
Yes.
But anything else, it has to be a professional
Well, there's
business
the
and company.
liability.
Yeah.
Yes,
And people
absolutely.
don't understand
People
that.
don't realize that.
They don't understand that at all.
And yeah, one thing too that I've come across that a lot of people, and you may see this too, is people say, well, we just want to do, I'm not in specific, but Moe's barbecue. We want to have them drop off barbecue trays. And it's like, we can't, and that's what's called a drop and go. We don't allow that for weddings. Occasionally for small parties, we'll allow that. But for weddings, you got to think, who's bussing your tables?
There you go.
Who's cleaning up? Who's taking care
Yes.
of all the trash?
Yes.
Who's serving your guests? Who's refilling
Yeah,
their
you
water?
want your guests, all your kids reaching
Yes.
in there.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
they don't think about that.
Yeah.
Exactly,
They don't
yes.
think about that. When I'm talking to a potential, had a situation. A lady was talking to me, and I was telling her she was looking for event management 30 to 45 days out. And she was like, oh, okay, so everything that we've done now, you're going to take it and continue planning. And I'm like, yeah, no. We can, but that's a different service offering.
Right.
You know?
Now, would you consider that partial planning?
Yes,
Would you take
that's
that on?
partial.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
That's partial, because you've already picked out a lot of the
Right.
vendors. We're just going to come in and make sure everything is put in place to give you what you're wanting for that day.
Right, okay.
But again, it's part of our job is educating. Whether they come to the venue first, they come to the planner first, they come to the photographer first. You've got to educate that person, because we do this all the time.
Absolutely.
This is usually their first. So it's some things they really just haven't thought through.
Well, and
the
we've
logistics.
experienced
Yes.
that. We've been
you know?
there.
Yeah,
seen
and we
it.
know what it's like.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
And I feel like the logistics get away from people. They don't realize, and you used the word earlier, production. A lot of first-time brides don't realize what a production putting a wedding together really is, and it's logistics.
Putting on a play.
Yes.
It is, and the logistics get sticky there. It's so much planning that you got to have a professional in your corner.
Absolutely. Multiple professionals.
yes.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
it takes a team. It
really
really
does.
takes a team. And at the end of the night, we want a happy client.
And when the vendors get along,
Oh my God, it's so much
it's
fun.
magic.
And I mean, everybody can feel the energy. It's just such a great
Yes.
vibe.
And I've been at weddings where you can clearly tell the planner has either been in it for too long or just isn't into it and just
Or very new.
or very new.
very
But
new.
honestly,
You can tell
like
when they wear heels. You're like, oh, honey.
Yes, that's not
Where's
gonna
your
last long,
sneakers?
but you look cute. Gotta look good.
Your feet are gonna hurt in 10 minutes.
That's so funny. This is your first rodeo.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it a lot with, I don't want to say older, and not in like age wise,
Yeah.
but just older in the sense that they've been in it for so long and they think that they're hot shit. And they're part of the, like, you know, I don't want to call it the Wilmington clique, but there's a little bit of a clique in Wilmington.
Yeah.
And they all just kind of, I think some of these people that are in said clique tend to allow their ego to supersede what they actually provide.
Right. Their
You know.
reputation, too, can
Yes.
get a little bit bigger because they've been in the business. Now, I mean, I've been in the business for 18 years, so I would, I am a seasoned vet for sure, but I have taken breaks throughout because you get so burned out.
You have to.
But you have a
You
personality too. You
Yes.
have the vibe. You
Yes.
care. You
and
truly
everybody
care.
Yeah.
doesn't have the personality. You may have the want, but you have to have that personality. And honestly, I had a conversation. I told somebody, I said, you've got to have a heart of service to be in the event industry.
Because the things you have to do sometimes.
Yes, like
Oh
you
my
have
gosh.
situations, and it's so funny. I can get so focused, and it's my assistant planner. She'll say, "Fix your face." Now I'm not angry, but I'm so concentrated. It's like
Mine is always my
Fix your
hands
face.
on my
Oh,
hips, like
see,
Superwoman pose,
It's like
and I'm real serious.
I'm concentrating, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize that. But yes, but it's because I want everything to go, and I'm
Perfect,
trying
yeah.
to anticipate what could happen, or okay, is everything going to be okay? Like, okay, where's mom?
Well,
Where's grandma?
that's another thing. I think maybe,
I
and
gotta
we're
find
all
that.
Yeah.
we're all moms here too,
Yes.
and I think that since having kids, I approach weddings. I don't want to say differently, but you just through a new lens where you're looking
Yes.
at it, and you're looking at it, and you're like, wow, that's gonna be me one day. And I have a 9-year-old.
Oh my gosh,
Laura's
the
about ready to cry.
mother-son dances.
I
Oh
know.
boy,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
I have 2 boys,
Yes.
and that gets me every
Yes.
time.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, it's, and I think when you look at it through that perspective, you're like, wow, this is a real moment in these people's lives. They have all their family with them, and some of these people might not be here next to your grandparents or whatever, and really like cherishing it for what it is, a special, like kind of a ritual. Like in our culture, we don't have rituals anymore.
Right,
Like
right.
in Mexico, they have quinceañeras. Here, we like just have weddings. really,
Weddings,
you know,
yeah.
and
And I would say, I don't know how the rest of you feel. Like I really kind of feel truly honored to be
Oh yes.
playing a part in somebody's
Absolutely.
biggest
Absolutely.
day. It's pretty
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
really awesome because
Yes.
a lot of times these clients become friends. I
Yes.
have so many that have become
Yes.
friends, and we hang out, and I watch them. Then they have their babies, and it's just the sweetest thing to really. I mean, it feels almost like my children, even though I couldn't
I
be
was
their
there.
parents, but yeah, I was there for their big day. I helped them, get through all this, and now I get to watch the rest of their
Yes.
lives. Yeah, it's
It
beautiful.
makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
so I
But
was,
it literally is an honor. Like we're a part of their beginning.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Like
Their
we
next
made
chapter.
it all come together.
No, speaking of the beginning and then the transition thereafter to children, I'm just going to shift over to what are your guys' thoughts? It's become more popular to have like no kids at weddings. Now, and I have like multiple feelings on this because I have kids.
I do too,
And
yeah.
I think like for destination weddings, it's really hard for people to like find a
Absolutely.
babysitter here or leave
Absolutely.
their kids in New York or wherever they're from to come down for their sister's wedding. What are your thoughts on kid-free weddings and when that might be appropriate for people, or what are your thoughts?
So I would say, as a mother, I love my kids dearly, but when I go to a wedding, I want to have fun and hang out with my friends and party and not worry about having my children there. Granted, I get it. A lot of people don't have sitters, or they don't have family to take care of their kids. So what comes into play there for me is that my kids are older; they can stay home. You know, previously I could get a sitter for them for a wedding. But now, if you don't have that luxury, I would say the bride and the groom, what a great thing to do would be to have a nanny service.
Yep.
You know, if you know you have
We've
a lot
had
of kids
several.
with
That's a great
young
idea.
friends,
That's cool, yeah.
young friends, we've had people do that before where they've taken over the bridal suite and they've had a nanny service. I have people I can recommend. And they have, if they know they've got, 15 kids that their friends are of a certain age where they're all having babies or they're all having these little toddlers, they may not be able to leave them at home or may not want to leave them at home. Get a nanny service. It's not that much more.
That's an amazing idea. I love that.
Or if you have certain, like maybe you don't want to have everyone's kids there, but it's like your best friend just had a baby and she's not going to be able to make it, you can make exceptions and
Absolutely.
just put no
Babies-
kids on the invites.
Babies
but-
are fine,
yeah.
I think. I think babies are fine. And I think, honestly,
It's like the sugar high children that are running around.
yes,
the middle
well,
of our
especially my venue, we are right on the road.
Yes.
I mean, a kid could
Yeah.
take off through the entrance and be in the middle of the street, or kids are, I will say
Obsessed
though,
with that
parents, they do not watch their kids when they bring them to weddings, and that is the God's honest truth. I mean, I don't want to, so I don't want to watch my kids while I'm hanging out with my friends.
But
and
as a
having
parent,
good
you
time.
see that as a liability and
Yes.
concern.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Now, I think it's okay if it is more a kid-friendly wedding where you don't have a lot of drinkers, you're not big partiers, it's more of a family-oriented event. In that situation, I think it's totally
very
fine.
situational.
Yes,
It
it
is.
is definitely a situation.
Definitely a situation.
Yeah.
And you have to have that conversation with the couple. Like that is a conversation I have to
Absolutely.
say, okay, so are we doing kids? Are we not doing kids?
And make sure you put that on the invite, because I swear
Yes.
when
Yes.
you invite people, even if you just address it to like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they don't in their mind don't exist without their children anymore.
Exactly.
So
Right.
they're gonna just
Yes.
immediately think
Yes.
that they're bringing their little
Everybody's
barnacles,
coming.
you know?
Yeah.
You know
All
what that
14 of their
does?
kids are coming.
Yes.
Throws off your RSVP list, your guest
Yes.
count, and then
Yes.
can we fit all these people in the venue that
Right.
we've chosen?
right.
It
Because if
throws
you're trying to stay
Yeah.
within a certain number and
Yes.
price point,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
got to think
And you
about
know
that.
what's okay too is it's okay on your invitations to either have an insert or people do this all the time for certain notes they want guests to know.
Yes.
It's okay to put on there, this is a kid-free wedding.
Yes.
We'd appreciate it if you didn't have kids. However, if you have to bring your children, we completely understand. If you're traveling, you just can't find a sitter, and in that case, please reach out to us. And then you can say, okay, well, we've got 5 people that have to bring their kids. They're traveling from California, they can't leave them. And then that's when you hire the nanny service. But you can it's okay to be honest with your guests and put it on there and say, we don't want kids, but
Yeah.
if you have a situation, let us know.
Yes.
Yeah. Now we were talking about guest count RSVP list just now, and Jess brought up a good point last week. Was that what is the average time between the RSVP being turned in and the event? It's a very short amount of time, which is crazy because that's what all your numbers are based off of for the wedding. It's like please RSVP. It's like 1 month before the event, which is insane. I mean, I know that's like crunch time, it's last month
right.
before the event, but how do you help? Monika, for you, because I know you have a lot of different people that you work with. How do you manage those numbers as far as what they've invited and who's RSVP'd and trying to track down those RSVP'd? People are terrible at RSVP'd.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they are.
Yep. I
They
tell people
are.
that's the worst part is trying to track
So
people down.
2 things. So currently, a lot of millennials, they're doing more tech innovation when it comes to invitations and RSVP.
Like QR codes?
Yes, QR codes and
Love that.
texting on the phone. It's it's on the phone and you're gonna reply versus a paper invitation.
Evites.
Right.
Yes.
The Evite. Yep. Evite.
I love those because you can set auto reminders.
Grandma
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
like those.
No,
Grandma doesn't
no.
like those.
Grandma wants a phone call.
Grandma-
Sorry, Grandma.
And a paper.
Yes. Grandma
wants to
wants that
hang it in
paper
the
on the
fridge.
refrigerator.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
So,
Sweet grandma.
it's that balance of making sure everybody is okay with it. But when we're getting close to crunch time, I tell them, it's okay. So if there are specific people that you want, you can't see yourself getting married without them there, and they have not reply to your RSVP, please pick up the phone and call them. Because we've got to turn these numbers in. And the one thing that as a planner you don't want to do is, well, I was invited, but did you RSVP?
Yeah.
The surprise
Oh,
appearances.
yeah. There's
Yes.
so many
Yes.
of those. I mean,
Yes.
you know, too.
Oh, yeah.
People show up and you're like, oh, we have 8 more people now.
Right, and it's like,
Well, that's a whole
that's
other
a whole,
table.
that's
That
a
is
whole
yes.
table.
Whole
So,
table. Whole table.
yeah, okay, so how we gonna do this?
I guess we're
You
going to
know.
put it on the dance floor.
Yes, that's right. You know, so yes, I ask the clients if when we're looking at the list, when they're going over it, and I pad that number too, so that I've got a window in there so that we can do the phone calls.
That is wild that people just show up without RSVP.
Oh, they do
Yeah.
it
all the time. I
Well,
know, I've seen it.
What
It's
I've seen
crazy.
too now
Yes.
is the B list, which I tell people, have your A list, have your B list, and when
Yes.
your A list starts dropping out, you can invite people from your B list. Well, they call B listers, you know, the week of, yeah, just come, it's fine. So and so's not showing up, just come on.
That's a whole conversation we have.
yes.
That's fine with that B list, but I need the names because it gets confusing. And then, so you would look at it this way, that's a reflection of us. Because
It does look bad.
the
on us.
bride, the groom, the family, they don't know anything about that. It's us and our teams trying to make sure and coordinate. So we always try, if possible, it doesn't always work, but we try to have one table. If it fits in the
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
one
the
table,
extra table?
that's
A buffer
open.
table.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
fully
Yeah.
decorated. You know, if we're doing assigned seating, a seating chart, then we just leave that one table.
I feel like I've seen that a lot when you do. She works at Malachi Meadows a lot. So
Okay,
so
great.
I've seen that, and
Yes.
at the end, there's usually maybe 2 or 3 people. You know, it's not a full table,
Yep.
but then you're like, hey, vendors, if they need to, you know,
Yes,
have their dinner,
exactly.
they
Yes.
can sit
Yep,
there, whatever.
absolutely.
But I
Now, if
have
we're at
noticed
capacity,
that.
then okay, we're all
Sorry, you
going
sit in the
somewhere
corner.
else.
You sit in the
But
closet.
you know, we try to keep that one table so that we can. Okay, sure, come on, let's go this way. Right,
Yeah,
here, right this
and
way.
it's seamless.
It is simple.
Yes.
You can do it with
You're
a
right.
smile.
Yeah, do it with a smile. Cause
You're
like,
right, though,
yeah, I
because
knew it was gonna happen.
It falls back on the anything that
Yes,
goes wrong. You're like, oh
anything
well,
that
they
goes
clearly the
wrong,
planner didn't
yes.
plan for this.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Well,
we got to be prepared for everything.
That's
Yes.
the thing, and that's part of being a parent too. I always tell this to my husband: you have to think of the worst case scenario because you have to prevent it.
Yes.
You know, it's and I hate to be like doomsday-ish in that, especially as a parent, because Chess knows I'm like my friends call me neurotic when I'm parenting. 'Cause I'm like, oh, this could happen. Not to be a helicopter parent, but if you don't know what could happen, you don't know how to stay ahead of it and prevent
Yes.
it. And like you said originally, that this is you only get one shot.
You
You
only
know,
get
you're
one
not going to invite all these 100 people back. Hey, we need to redo that. You know, so making sure that you can anticipate, and that again going back to hiring professionals that have been
Yes,
doing it
exactly
for
right.
10,
Yes.
18
Yes.
years
Yes.
that have seen these things, because really experience is the only way you learn.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know,
And
truly
some of the
learn.
things you never think that you will see, you see, and you're like, wow, never thought I should plan for that.
But it only
Yeah,
takes
wait,
that one
let's hear
time,
some
and then
of these.
anything
Oh.
after that, it's like okay, that becomes a part of your final checklist because you're anticipating that one thing that
New
you thought
item.
would never happen.
Fool
Yep.
me once.
Check reviews
Yes.
and make sure they were not written by friends.
Let's talk about some of our crazy moments, Laura. I know you have a couple.
Boy, I have a story for you that in my 18 years this baffled me so much that this is the first time. I will preface this by saying this is the first time I did not ever in my career I did not allow the clients to tip this vendor. And I have never, will never withhold a tip from a vendor because that's not my call. But I said specifically when they handed, I had all the envelopes and I said, I will not hand this to the DJ/photographer/officiant. I'm sorry, videographer. DJ/videographer/officiant.
That's a lot of jobs.
For one person. However, the 13-year-old daughter did come. She was
Oh,
the videographer.
child labor. Love that.
Child labor. Now
how you
this
keep
was
costs down.
now
Okay,
this was a
guys.
person who had a, I'm going to put in quotes, legit business. Was on the Knot Wedding Wire, had reviews.
I can't trust. I don't love the Knot and Wedding Wire for that reason, because I don't feel like it's.
Right. Well, come to find out, all these reviews must have, unless this was the fluke of all flukes, this must have been paid reviews. Friends wrote reviews for this person. So this guy shows up, never worked with him before. Like I said, been in the business a long time. I know most people, I didn't know their names. Now, sometimes when it comes to DJs, you know that they'll get, they've got a friend that works in DC as a DJ. I always get the background of like, well, do they know how to MC a wedding? These kind of things. Well, I trusted that this person had a legit business. So when I met with the clients and I was their coordinator, I met with them. Okay, great. I haven't heard of him, but It did throw up a red flag, and I was like, wait a minute. He's the officiant, the videographer, and the DJ. Okay, well, let's see how this goes. So does he have an assistant that's going to do video? Because you can't be the officiant and the videographer during the ceremony, right? Impossible. So fast forward to the day of the wedding. I'm having a really hard time leading up to it, getting a hold of this guy. I mean,
Yeah,
red flags all over the place. Calling, texting, emailing, nothing. Finally, I get a text back. I'll be there at this time. Great. He's going to show up. Yeah.
Laura's up there
Yes.
officiating.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to step in and do these things. He shows up. Ragged as all get out, and I'm like thinking, okay, maybe he's
gotta
gonna
change of clothes.
Maybe he's gonna get it all together. He sets up his DJ setup. When I tell you, it was a fold-out TV tray. The TV trays, wooden TV trays from the 80s.
Oh wow.
80s and 90s that we used to eat our lean cuisines on.
Yes.
Yes. He set this up. I mean, I'm telling you, it's no bigger than 3 feet, 2 feet. He sets it up. He puts his laptop. Oh, no, first was the dirty bed sheet that comes out over top of the...
Dirty.
It was a fitted white bed sheet.
Stop it.
When I tell you this was, I mean, I can't even make this up. It was mind-blowing.
This is the story as to why there has to be preferred and required vendors.
Yes.
And hiring professionals.
Yes.
Truly.
Dirty bed sheet.
Did the bride know this person was an uncle?
No.
She was the rest of the wedding really high class? And then
It was
the
yes. It was.
one-off?
I mean, it was a beautiful. It was beautiful wedding. They had a good photographer. They had great other vendors. It was this, and I think they were more budget conscious, and so she was like, well, if we can save money,
That's not the spot to cut corners.
that is definitely not.
No, on any of those things.
No.
None of those.
Yeah.
I mean, officiant you may be able to get away with if you write the ceremony for them and they have to go up there and speak, but definitely not DJ and video.
No.
video.
I mean, DJ's the whole vibe of the,
It's the
of the
whole
evening.
vibe.
They're gonna
Yes.
carry the rest of the
Yes,
evening.
Yes.
absolutely.
So we've got the lean cuisine TV tray out.
TV
the
tray, dirty
fitted
bed sheet, 2 very narrow, slim speakers, and you know how our wall is where the DJ normally goes.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy literally took up 4 feet of space,
Yeah, no,
whereas
that was
it's a big
8,
wall to fill out, and most, they usually have their big setup. Nope. And then he tells me he is going to put a podium with another sheet over top of it for the ceremony. And generally, they hold a book or a binder, not a big podium with a bed sheet. I told him absolutely not. I said, nope, that's not going to work. You
Good
can
for
hold.
you for being confident and drawing
yeah.
the line somewhere.
I could see it slowly going downhill, and I was like, I'm going to have to set boundaries here because this guy's going to try to run right through all of them.
Oh, no.
All the while, I'm thinking he definitely is on something. There is something, there is some drugs happening. He is very, just jittery all over the place.
This is catastrophic.
It was a nightmare. I mean, granted, they had a wonderful day, but this, I was like, I can't even.
Was the music any good? I mean, I'm sure
I
the
was gonna
video
say, were
wasn't.
you
but,
able
like,
It was
save it.
It was literally like Spotify. He put on a playlist. He was outside. Okay, so ceremony. He's puts on a collared shirt. He's also wearing jeans, and he has flip flops on with dirty black toenails.
Oh no.
And this is what he wears.
I'm gonna need you to write a book. I'm over here like,
I know. I tell this story to people, and I'm like, I couldn't even believe it. I mean, I've seen some things, and I've had to do some things that you're like, oh, this is out of the ordinary. But this guy was next level. Then his daughter, during the ceremony, his 13-year-old daughter, she has AirPods in. She's wearing black jeans and like a bold shirt with like sunflowers all over it. She is standing in the middle of the aisle with a home camcorder.
Oh.
Yep, from, 80s, 90s home camcorder.
Hold it out of the same closet as the TV tray.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. She's walking in the aisle, so I have to go in the middle, and the photographer is like freaking
Dying,
out.
yes.
She's like, what? So I finally go, like, creep down the aisle, and I grab her and I'm like, sit down, don't get in the aisle. And she's like got her AirPods in, and she's like, takes them out, and I'm just like, sit here and don't move. I don't care at this point if they don't get video, because this
You're
is
not
a
gonna
nightmare.
ruin everything.
You're not gonna ruin everything. So I told her to sit down, stay put, don't move for the rest of the time. In the middle of the wedding, I'm like creeping around. Sit down.
Yeah, and the atrium is a very intimate space. There's
Yes.
not it's not easy to creep.
No, it is not easy to creep. It is.
So this brings up a really good point. And since we have two fantastic professionals here in the industry, I want to I want to touch on this before we run out of time. Where is a great place? Where are the great places to splurge, and where are the good places to cut back budget wise?
My
They
opinion,
clearly,
I
they
think
clearly
is gonna
cut
be,
on the wrong part there.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Definitely.
a DJ, like you said, a DJ sets the vibe
Yes.
for the whole
Yes.
wedding.
Yes.
I mean, they really do. Now I get it. If you don't want, some people don't want to have that, huge dance party and everybody packed on the dance floor, and that's fine. So you could, kind of back off a little bit, but
But professional, good DJs have a team and they have packages,
Yes.
and they
And
can
they-
show up with their smaller packages.
and they can MC, they can talk
Yes.
on the mic, they can get the
Yes,
crowd
that's
hyped.
so
It's
important.
so important.
And even if you don't need a big dance party, almost everyone wants a prayer or welcome speech.
Yes.
Everyone wants toasts,
Yes.
at the end. So having good audio
Yes.
and having
Professional equipment that works
Yes,
properly.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you just want to sit and you're chatting, but you still want to hear a nice vibe in the background and tap your toe and
And a
grandma's
good
moving her
music change,
head.
and them
Yes.
feeling the crowd
Yes.
out. That's
Yes.
they feel the crowd out, and it's like
Yeah.
if the crowd is antsy and ready to get moving, then they start playing more
Yes.
upbeat music. Yeah,
But we need to know that.
Yes,
Again,
and professional
goes back
DJs
to
know
the
that.
referred.
Yeah.
yes.
So
preferred
and
vendors.
that going back to the splurge or spend kind of thing, splurge or save rather. I feel like, and not to like, I love a cute dessert bar and like the cute cakes and stuff, but I feel like some people, if you are looking for areas to,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I see so many pieces of cake that are
Please stop
Yes,
doing a
yes.
4-tier, even a 2-tier
Yes.
cake.
Yeah.
People
Don't
do
eat 'em.
not eat
Nope.
cake
No.
anymore.
No.
They don't.
They don't.
A few people eat, cakes, and it's fine. Do a small cutting
Do a
cake
small cutting
and offer
cake.
those pieces.
Yes.
And then do little bite-sized
Yes.
desserts.
And not
do
to
give
not
that
spend
variety.
$6,000
No,
on a
absolutely.
massive cake
Yeah.
that nobody eats.
And another thing to where you can cut and save would be favors.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
everybody
Forgets
that's a
the
whole
favors.
part. Yeah.
Yep.
Like
Those
don't
little
do that.
bubbles that
Oh,
no one.
gosh.
and
They're
they're
impossible.
so thoughtful, but
it's
nobody's
so
going
hard.
to do it. And I tell the clients, I'm like, okay, like you said, budget conscious, or you're just trying to stay within your budget, because everybody knows as you get into planning, especially as things have gone up, you have to cut somewhere. Do it with the favors.
Yeah. And now, what are
We
favors that are
pull
worth
so many.
having?
I tell people consumable, something
Yes,
they can
some-
eat
yes.
or something they
Yes.
can use.
Yes.
And really,
Absolutely.
if you're determined to do
Yes.
favors, that is they will eat, a late night, even a late night
Yes.
snack, or a snack as they're leaving to
Yes.
go out partying later.
Yes.
Or even I've had guests do candles. Like personalized
those are
candles, which is
cute.
super
Cute.
sweet. Yeah, with their
Those are
label
cute.
on
Yep.
it, a custom scent.
I really love, but I was at a wedding recently where they left them all behind. Those
Yes.
Oyster shells.
Yep.
That was
That
that
was cute.
recent
Yes.
wedding that
Yeah.
we did together,
Yes.
but there were so many left on the table.
And they were
Yes.
so
With-
pretty.
had
They
their
were
name
Had their
on
name
it.
so
on 'em.
pretty.
They
Yeah.
were so pretty, and I couldn't believe how many were left.
They
Yes.
were beautiful. They're beautiful, but people aren't, especially people that don't like little tchotchkes
Yes.
and things. They're not going to.
Men aren't gonna take
no,
home a
men are
ring
not going
dish?
to take. No,
No.
I had clients do custom embroidered napkins for like his and hers. Those linen napkins, so you can
That's
use
really
that.
nice.
A linen napkin. Yeah.
I love that.
But that is
Yeah.
definitely a place where we tell people, think about it,
Yeah.
and you just don't have to do
Yeah.
it.
Well, I like
No,
the
you
photo
don't.
booth idea too. People leave with a photo
Yes.
strip.
Yes,
We did
that's
that for your
great.
husband's 40th.
Yes.
Those are
Yeah,
fun.
that's
Those are
fun.
fun.
Yes, those are always fun.
And that's plenty.
That is
Yeah,
plenty.
that's
You're
plenty.
feeding
Nobody
them.
went
You're
there
giving
for
them
the-
alcohol. You're giving them a good party. You don't
Yes.
have to send them home with something.
Because
goodie
they're
bag.
not
You'll be
going
putting
to
the goodie bag.
talk
No,
bad
that's for
about
our
your
10-year-old
day
birthday
because
party.
they don't go home with a favor.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're going to talk about, oh my gosh, we had such a wonderful time and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
And we didn't go home with something in our hand. They don't care.
I didn't get my koozie.
Yeah.
I wasn't
No,
even there.
Koozies. There's
Oh,
always
the
so many
koozies.
koozies.
And I
too.
feel so bad at the end of the night when we're, packing everything up. It's like, gosh.
There's just
so
money
much.
wasted because you can't do anything else
can't do
with
anything.
it.
I will tell you, at the end of every event, I am putting those at every exit. I'm putting them
I
in
know.
people's hands. I do not want to see that bride and that groom
Yes.
walk past a full
You know what's
basket.
fun?
Listen,
And
I've
I-
even went around to the tables. Now, don't forget, as things
Yes.
are winding
Have
down.
the DJ make an announcement.
Yeah.
Grab your favors on the way
If
out.
they're doing
Don't
sparklers
forget.
at the end of the
Yes.
night before they're going out, make sure you get.
You don't get a sparkler unless you have
Yes.
a
Did you get your favor?
You know what was fun? I saw at a wedding recently. It was downtown. It was at everyone's dinner space. They had a little like $1 lottery card. I hope you're
Yes,
as lucky as us.
Yes,
Oh,
I love
that's
that. The
cute.
lottery
That's
ticket is great. Yes.
Like none of those were left on the
No.
table.
I bet
Not every single one of those.
Not
was
burning your
gone.
chance.
They were
no,
gone.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So we're splurging on a DJ. We're saving on favors. Anywhere else you guys see a major?
I have a controversial opinion.
okay.
I think it's okay to save on food. Now, not quantity.
Yes.
I'm not saying quantity of food, but
Yes.
I'm saying you don't need to have, this oyster bar and the shrimp and grit station and then this and then a full-on meal of, you can do a basic, even a basic buffet. I think
Yes.
buffets have gotten a bad rep in the past, but a simple buffet is great. Nobody's going to remember your food unless it's awful.
Right.
So don't go so low that it's,
Yes.
and there's nobody on the
Yes.
preferred vendor list, or even in Wilmington that does awful
Yes.
food.
No,
So,
you don't exist here.
yes,
Yeah.
you
You're
don't
not gonna
have
last.
to do anything crazy and lavish and a
Absolutely.
chocolate fountain and
And that's one of my pet peeves is the waste in our
Yes.
industry. And like not to be
It's
there,
so much
It's
of
so
it.
wasteful.
But just like you said, the food.
Yeah,
Because
nobody's
when
gonna
we're
remember
watching,
it.
it's like,
yeah, they take 4 bites, then they're
Throw
done.
it
They
away.
want to drink and they want to dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
want to party.
because
and have a
remember,
good
you
time.
just gave them wonderful hors d'oeuvres during cocktail
That's
hour.
right. Yep.
So it's like, okay, well, I'm full.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
and
don't.
the other thing that's nice too about having buffet is that as the bride and groom or the couple, you get to take that home with you afterwards.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And sometimes there's so much food. They're like, "What are we going to do with this? We're flying out for the honeymoon.
Yes.
Parents don't live here.
Yes.
This
Yeah.
person, that person."
Well, and the other thing, and I love beautiful florals, but if you're planning a destination wedding here, keep in mind that, it's really sad, but at the end of the night, all of that stuff goes in the trash.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
And that breaks my heart.
There is a resurgence of silk flowers, which
Yes.
is beautiful. There's a company in town that
Yes.
does a great
As a
job.
photographer,
There's
I
one in Brunswick
hate
County.
Well,
the same way.
there is. Have you worked
Yes.
with Faux Real Flowers?
Maybe
Shout
not.
out Faux Real. They do beautiful. Some of these, most of that, you cannot even tell a bit.
Yes.
I love that.
And they're beautiful. And then
Do they rent them so that
They do. They come in. They make arrangements for you. They even do bouquets. A lot of my clients choose to do a real bouquet, so they can keep it and preserve it later. But they do centerpieces. They do beautiful arch installments. They do greenery.
Nice.
They
Yes.
do all kinds of stuff.
That's
and
cool.
Yes.
it
well, I
is
feel like
beautiful.
the smilax and some of the eucalyptus
Yes.
you really can't tell.
Yes,
You cannot.
Yes. Well, I'm telling you, these florals, you'd be blown
Because some of the ones
away,
that people
wow, that's
order
silk.
online,
No,
with Amazon,
do
or-
not
No,
do
no,
that. Do
no,
not go to
not
Michael's.
that.
Do not go to
Not that.
Hobby Lobby and get your
Yes, not
flowers.
that.
These are
Yes.
totally different.
But they
are
look
next
so
level.
realistic, and like you said, they rent them, and so then they're coming in, they're setting everything up, but then there's a savings there.
Yes, they
And
take them away at the
then
end of the night. You
waste
don't
is
see them all
gone.
thrown in the
Yeah,
trash.
and the waste
Yeah.
the waste is so. It's
But I will say, if you do have real florals, do something where at the end of the night you can give them to people that are local.
Yes.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Now, granted, if you rent the vases, they can't take them with
Right.
them. So
Hold them on
maybe
your
bring
lap.
something.
Yeah.
Maybe bring something they can
Yep.
take out.
Yep,
You know.
take out.
Yeah, they can take out and put in a different container.
Now I had a quick question for you because I know we've got another like 10 minutes here. So, but I just want to touch base on the Atrium and like get some information on that because I know you have. It's a smaller venue, but you have the seated capacity and then the cocktail hour capacity.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
wanted to just like touch on that because I love the Atrium. Shout out to the Atrium,
you,
one of my
thank
favorite
you.
venues of all time.
Thank
It's
you.
just it's really magical, and I don't know if you've been there, Monika, but it's
Yeah, you have to come check
I
it
know.
out.
you're
I'm
walking
coming, I'm
downtown.
coming.
You're walking downtown. It's just like a bunch of building faces. You know, like how downtown is. All the buildings are kind of connected, and then you walk by this like entryway. And it opens up into this hidden garden. No, it's so.
It's
I
magic.
like it. I like it.
Like like butterflies and sparkles. Like it really is. It is
Yeah.
a magical place.
And to be smack dab in the middle of downtown,
It's
where
insane.
literally you
That's
have
the beauty
accommodations,
of
you have
it, yes.
bars, you have restaurants, all right there. It's
very convenient. That's what I was telling Jess about is that some people and I love Malachi Meadows and there's other venues that are a little bit further away, Slate and Cypress. People get married down there. But you have to think logistics.
Yes,
is that how are people
absolutely.
going to get from point A to point B?
Yes.
So a lot of times at Malachi, it's like, hey, get some transportation.
Yes.
For Atrium, it's like a no-brainer. People can, if they're doing a destination wedding, everyone's staying at a hotel downtown. Go
They can-
Ubers are within 3 minutes.
Yep.
You know,
can Uber from the airport, go to your hotel, and never have to drive the
Yes.
whole weekend.
That's awesome.
That's-
You know?
yeah, that's
it,
really
it
cool.
really is super convenient for people, especially traveling.
And if you're driving, there's also a huge parking lot right across,
Right across the street,
which
yes.
is amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
it
That
is. Granted,
means
it is paid
so
parking,
much
which
in
everything
downtown
downtown is.
Wilmington.
Yeah,
Yes.
everything
Yeah.
is paid parking these days.
Yeah.
We're still, a relatively cheaper lot, but yes. So we capacity wise for a seated ceremony and reception, it's 125. 125 is kind of where we max out that comfort
that seems
level.
like a lot.
That's a lot.
It does, and I mean, our average is 80 to 100.
Yeah.
Is-
That's a
is
good
pretty-
size.
It's a great size. Yeah,
That's
you know,
perfect for
it's-
most events,
Absolutely,
honestly.
absolutely. So 80 to 100 average. We've gone up a little bit, but it does get a little bit tight in there when you get all the tables in the courtyard area. But we do have the indoor space, which, guests can go in for cocktail hour. We do all of our buffet stations, any food stations in there. We have a bar inside. We can put another mobile bar outside. Awesome. Now 175 is going to be our max capacity for a cocktail style reception. Now that's just a reception.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Cocktail tables, lounge area,
because
benches, moving the benches into like a little lounge seating area. Plus inside space. So that would be where you're not seating all of your guests for dinner, not having an assigned seat for all of your guests for dinner.
One of the things I love about the Atrium too is the bridal suite. Oh yes. Can we talk for a minute about the bridal suite, which is like literally like second to none. It is amazing. How many?
It's huge.
It is so much natural light. So tell me, how many booths are there for bridesmaids?
So we've got so you walk up and you've got floor to ceiling windows, so all the natural light looking over the ceremony area.
I'm coming to visit soon.
Yes, come on. Come on. Plan a visit. Looking over the ceremony area, and then a huge high top table where usually makeup sets up because they love that natural light.
Oh yeah.
And then you walk over, you got 2 long farm tables. They can have a big spread of food, mimosas, all that. And then we have 4 individual cubbies, little makeup stations where they've got hair and makeup. Where the bridesmaids, if they're doing their own makeup, they can sit there, or you can have 4 people getting their hair done. We've got plugs everywhere, mirrors everywhere, which is super important. And then beyond that, sliding glass doors open, and you have a full dressing room.
Yeah.
So curtains pull all the way around. And then beyond that is a private little courtyard patio, exposed.
Perfect for first looks.
Yes, perfect for first looks. Bridesmaids photos. Photos with mom up there. Even we've had people read private vows up there. First touch. I mean, I'm biased. There's nothing like it.
No, you're not. You're not biased because I am like an uninvolved third party, and I am literally like obsessed with the Atrium. So I'm a very big fan.
It's just such a cool space. You don't see anything really like it. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, this reminds me of Charleston." So you really
it's literally it's a hidden garden. It's remember the book or the movie?
The Secret Garden.
Yes, the Secret Garden.
Well, we call ourselves the Urban Secret Garden. And it's
very
right in the middle of downtown.
Now we kind of brushed on it, but first looks. What are your thoughts, Monika, on first looks? I mean, obviously sometimes
I do too.
I love
it. It helps out with the timeline a lot.
It does help with the timeline. It helps with the jitters, and it gives the couple that moment just to kind of get the jitters out of the way. And it's just so magical.
Like, we're going to go out there and we're going to do this.
Yes. Even if they're doing it, with a parent, but definitely the couple themselves, I love it.
Well, and logistically, it's required sometimes. I mean, sometimes people are getting married in December and they're like, well, I want to have a 4:00 ceremony. I'm like, well.
Then you're going to have no light.
No light. There's no golden hour.
Candlelit. No, but for some people with their timeline and what they have their vendors booked for, and just the time of the year, sometimes it's what makes the most sense. I know some people have strong feelings. I don't want them to see me until I'm coming down the aisle, and that's fine. What I do for my clients then for photos is I'm able to take the bride's photos with the bridesmaids beforehand, the grooms with the groomsmen, and do all the individuals, bride with mom, bride with dad. So that afterwards it's just the combo photos. But like you said, I think the jitters, people underestimate. They're like, oh, I'm cool, calm, and collected.
Oh, yeah.
Until it comes to that moment. So it's like, but yes, that gives you that moment just to be able to just,
And really, I mean, it's usually a private moment, and they get to take you in.
Yes.
They get to, you get to look at each other and be like, oh man, this is
During
dude
the
I'm marrying. I'm pretty lucky.
When you walk down the aisle when you're getting married, you can't embrace each other.
Exactly.
It's like just all of a sudden now you're staring at each
I
other.
know.
And you'll see them sometimes say, you're so pretty.
Yeah.
It is so sweet.
That private. Just that, because again, it's about them. And all the time, the energy, the money, make it about that couple.
And you constantly have to remind your clients about that. This is your wedding. No matter what anybody else says or is pressuring you to do what's true to you.
Yes, I tell them, I need you to take your sweet time getting up that aisle. Do you remember how many phone calls we had?
That's right. You better walk
Take your time.
Real slow.
Look at the photographer. Look at the video camera.
I love you, Monika.
I tell everybody that. Chin up. Flowers by your belly button.
And don't do T-Rex on.
Yes.
When they're sitting up there holding hands, I'm like, lower.
Yes,
Relax.
Love. Wiggle fingers, and don't lock knees.
Yes, all of that.
I do think the first look, it does help solidify that moment to take it all in because you spent so much time and money. Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because some people don't. And on the other side of that, after ceremony's over, after you all have done the amazing combo pictures, before we go into reception and do introductions, take another moment.
Just 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. Nobody's gonna do anything
Well, and you're
without
one,
you.
yeah, you're one of the
Exactly,
few planners.
that's right.
You're one of the few planners that actually puts that in your timeline.
Yes.
You
Yeah, I
know,
love
like
that.
this is
I love that.
solo
Yes.
time for you guys.
Because
Go
you've
upstairs,
done
take
so
a breath,
much.
Yes.
already.
regroup.
Yes.
Yes. Spend a couple minutes
Just a couple
together.
of minutes just to talk about what your favorite part was. I'm not even going in there with you.
No,
You know, it's like,
and we send our clients up to the bridal suite and
Yeah,
say,
like-
hey, eat a couple appetizers.
yes,
take a couple
I have a
minutes,
plate
just-
waiting for you so
yes.
you can, because
Decompress a
okay,
little bit.
this is the second part. Because in a couple of hours, this day will be over.
I know, and that's
And
the one
I don't
thing
want you to look back and go,
I'm sure you hear it so much too. I hear it. I tell them, I'm like, it's gonna go by
So fast.
and that's what they say.
Yes.
They're not, I can't
All
believe
the
it's
time.
over.
Yes.
It's happening by so fast. I'm
Yes.
like, yep, savor every
Take
moment.
those 2 times during the day to just take it in.
Yeah.
Because it's about the 2 of you.
Yes. Enjoy each other.
Enjoy each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna wait. They came here to celebrate you.
Yeah.
Take some time.
That's right.
Just take some time.
Now I have a couple more like yay or nay questions for you
Okay.
guys because I know we have to wrap it up pretty quick. But I know your venue. It's not a BYOB. You have to hire the bar. And
Correct.
get
We
alcohol
have an
through.
in-house liquor license, so we do all alcohol.
Okay,
in-house, no
perfect.
outside alcohol.
And then a lot of other venues, they do like the BYOB where you can get the ABC permit. Do you facilitate that or do they have to do that themselves?
If it's
Monika?
full planning, then I am going to help them and make sure it's done because there's a frame of time that you have to get that taken care of.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
I'm not a planner, so I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
Talk to me like
But
I'm a bride.
Our preference is a venue that has their license, or we hire a bartending service that's going to take care of all of that, or your caterer has the permits so that all of that is taken care of.
Now, what are your thoughts? And Jess and I talked about it a little bit, maybe too much last week, but I feel like it's a really big thing, especially in our culture where, everyone likes to have a drink and have a good time. With younger people, sometimes they don't realize like what their limit is.
Sometimes.
I can say, that happens.
So,
That happens.
Yeah.
We were talking
Especially after COVID. Oh, let me tell you, those people partied for a year straight.
Everybody was
What's
ready
wrong
to
with
outside.
drinking at 10 in the morning? A little Kahlua in your coffee. No, but we were talking about the difference between, and especially like the vibe difference between having a full bar and a beer and wine bar. And I know some people, it's so fun to have like the signature drinks named after your dogs or whatever. And
It happens
you're
all
laughing.
the time.
It's everyone.
It's always
the
the
dog's
dog's
name.
cute. I know.
It is really
Yes,
cute.
it's
And then
cute.
you're sitting there and someone's like trying to order. They're like, I'll have the
Barney?
Yeah,
They're like, what is that?
trying to read the menu. But I think those are really fun. They obviously photograph great. But I noticed just being in the industry for so long that mixed drinks have a tendency to push people over because it's an open bar.
Yes,
Hey,
and I
that's
will
great.
say people lose their ever-loving minds at weddings. I don't
do.
know what happens,
Yes.
but they drink more than they would. I mean, it's a celebration. I get it, but when
More than the
there's
Super Bowl.
liquor,
Yes.
oh yeah. I mean, people go hard.
Yeah.
But
at
that's
weddings.
when you really have to have that conversation with the bartending company, the bartender. Listen.
Oh, and John at Atrium's great with that. You have
Oh,
a
yes.
We need to make
we
sure
we'll
everybody
cut somebody off
understands.
quick.
If you start to see somebody and it looks suspect, cut them off.
Yes.
If there's a problem, come find me.
Yeah.
And also,
I love that you
Come
said
find
all
me.
that.
yes, yes.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's not.
But
Another thing too is that I always ask the clients, because I usually go over alcohol with them. I ask them about their crowd, and sometimes they will say, "I do not want to serve liquor because
Yes.
my guests are insane."
Yes.
Like
And
they
they do the
will
beer
drink
and
the bar
wine.
dry,
Yes.
and they'll
Yes.
be,
And I love
hanging
that,
from
and I
the
appreciate
rafters.
when they answer that
Absolutely.
question honestly,
Yep.
because then I'm gonna help
We know.
them
We
make
know
that
what kind of
decision.
event we're having.
and that's also another area where you can cut costs.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Because
Oh, liquor,
alcohol,
yes.
Yes.
liquor costs a lot more.
Yes.
Beer and wine is plenty.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
enough for somebody
Usually-
to toast with, to cheers with.
Yes.
That's enough, and that's a great place to save.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Very cool. Well, I think we've kind of touched a lot of the things. There's so many more things I'd love. I mean, you guys are just so easy to talk to, and I love working
has
with
been
both
fun.
of you. This
Thank
has been
you.
fun.
I know,
I
this
know
has
we
been
all have
fun.
like things we have to do because wedding season is about ready to pick
It's
up.
Yes.
on us.
Yes.
Yep.
Now,
it is here.
just before we wrap up, I'm just going to ask you each, what are the first steps, Monika, when someone's like, oh my gosh, I'm engaged? What are the first 2 or 3 things they should do?
First thing I tell anybody: take a deep breath. Take 1 week to enjoy it.
Don't think. Don't
Don't think about everything
Great.
else. Don't
Yes.
try to pick a date. Don't try to pick a venue. Don't try to pick a time of the year. Enjoy the fact that you're engaged.
Celebrate.
Then, yes,
Celebrate.
Yeah, that's
enjoy it. Then after that, start asking questions about venue, time of year. We live on the coast. So if we were getting destinations coming here, as well as locals that want to get married here. Think about the time of the year, because that's also going to impact your budget.
Yeah. Now, do you guys give discounts for, like, is there high season, low season discounts?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
definitely, winter here, which is still, I mean, it's been real cold this winter, but winter we definitely, January, February, because we're an outdoor venue, give discounts. Peak of the summer, July, because nobody wants to be outside in July in the humidity, discounts there. Yeah, but most, I mean, our season runs pretty long here because we have such good weather.
Yes.
Yeah, well, very cool. Do you have any other last things you want to add in on what people should do right when they get engaged?
No, I'm just going to second that sentiment about
Yeah.
take a week,
Just take it
enjoy
in.
it. I mean, people try to rush planning. They think they are on this such tight timeline.
Yes.
Oh, we got to book our venue 2 years out.
Well,
No,
sometimes,
you don't.
well, if you're looking for a Saturday
If
in
you
May,
are looking for a
if you're
Saturday
looking
in
for a
April or May,
Saturday,
then yes,
but
honey, get
still,
on it now.
yes, but even still with that, still take that
Yes.
moment to enjoy it,
Right.
because getting engaged is a part of your wedding story.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Don't skip that
Yeah.
part.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all part of the story.
So,
Yes.
and then as you start to look at vendors, and I'm not saying this because I'm a planner, I'm saying it from the standpoint of the stress. Save yourself. Find a planner
Yeah.
and or a coordinator.
Yes.
If you want to do the planning, great, but make sure you get someone that can be your sounding board if it's a coordinator. We're going to talk to you. We're going to check in and all of those things so that you can enjoy that part of the process.
and bring information to them that they may not have even
because
thought
they
about.
so many times they don't think about it. But in our role, we love. So we want you to be happy.
That's right.
And we want you to be informed and make good decisions
And enjoy your day.
and enjoy your day.
That's the takeaway
And
right
you have to
there.
live after wedding day.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's
This is the
right.
beginning of your
You gotta,
marriage.
you gotta live with all these decisions.
Another podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save that one. But yes,
Well,
but
thank
yes.
you guys for
Yeah.
joining
Thank you for
us.
having
This was
us.
fun.
Yes, appreciate
And
it.
we'll do this again.
Of
we should.
course.
Yes.
Yes, we
Awesome.
should.
You
Thank
call,
you.
I'm coming.
Okay. Thanks, ladies.
Yeah.